getting close, getting close to D-Day or Election Day. Anyway, the other night, about 2 nights ago now, I got a huge download or dream again that I want to share with you guys. It's really, really interesting stuff. And I mean, a lot of people probably know this information because it's nothing completely new. It's more like just connecting all these, putting it all together for me to understand them all. Yeah, if you guys don't know me or not, I just turned 62 2 days ago, so I'm feeling still young and vibrant. And a lot of people that are close to me sometimes ask me, what's my secrets for my youthfulness or whatever. Yeah, there's been actually quite a few things over the years, but again, it's because I listen to my little voice in my head or whatever. You can call it a guide or something. But yeah, I mean, it's probably over 20 years ago. I kind of learned about antioxidants, things like that, the healing natures of a lot of things, you know, oxygen, whatever. You know, I'm like everybody else. I'm sort of curious from time to time. Other than I just also get the thoughts in my head going, check this out too. But we all try different holistic, alternatives to a lot of things. And yeah, like I said, for myself, it's like a personal experiment on myself. So I don't really tell anybody about it. It's like, I'm just going to try something new, see if there's any effect. I'm a very doubtful person, just like everybody else. But sure enough, a lot of these it's more of a long-term benefit. So you don't really see it for 10 years if you just keep at it. And that's kind of what I've been doing. So, I've been maintaining my physicalness probably for 20 years. So I just seem more youthful that way. Anyway, there's a few other things. But what I want to go into is kind of what I was told. It's pretty interesting stuff. I'm not sure if I can cover it all in this one. What I'll do is see how far I can go. But again, they told, or I get the message that we are like biological batteries, if you know what I mean. We're biological dynamos, is what they're kind of also describing it as. So we generate power, but like anything else, we need energy. We need an energy force. So being a spiritual being, we're put into these biological entities. They're set up for us, but we're supposed to be working in conjunction with nature. So it's just, again, the system was interfered and we were taught something differently. As for instance, we all kind of wake up to the fact that the modern medical industry that we know of today is really only based on the last 100 years, a little over 100 years. Basically, in the early 20th century, late 19th century, as where our controllers, let me put it that way, wanted to shift us from being more holistic or earth-based medical remedies for things to a chemical-based system. So they wanted to try to condense it all to what they would call modern science, which is, more chemical-driven. It's more of a chemical-driven science, which, I mean, chemicals obviously do affect us. So it's not that I'm not going in the opposite direction. I'm just saying that the real truth is we need energy. So even when you think about it, when you eat food, what is it turning into? Well, what they're trying to tell us, it turns into proteins, and you break it down and stuff. But they're missing the point. The point is whenever you eat something, you're getting that energy from it. So there's just like everything else, all our molecules are vibrating at a certain sequence or frequency, and you put it in your mouth, you chew it. Our biological engines or machines change those molecules into energy. So what is it? What is the actual energy? And that's kind of what they were teaching me or telling me how it works. One of the more bizarre things they were showing me was our hearts are, well, let me put it this way: our biological bodies are the engine that drives them is electromagnetic. Uh, we even realize that with our nervous system, everything is. We've got, all the way down to our heartbeat. They were showing me also how the heart works. And if you've ever watched a little documentary on heart cells, even if you separate them into a single cell, they still beat. They go beep, 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 beep. And then when you put them together with other heart cells, then they work in, they basically they work in synchronicity, like they synchronize together, and so they beat together. Anyway, what they were telling me how our system works, it's very, very much like Tesla, because Tesla, we don't even know all the stuff that was taken from him, all the information that was given to him, and it's been hidden from us all. But it's on the same idea that because we're electromagnetically charged or run, it's basically like a positive negative diode or whatever. But how they explain to me with the heart cells in particular is it's like it gets it's like a pole shift. It gets polarized. It goes positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. That's what our heartbeats work on. So it isn't magic. They just literally, it's positive, negative, positive, negative. So that when you have all those muscles working together, it goes positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. So that's kind of how it works. It's almost like an AC system, alternating current system. Now, like I said, I'm not a scientist. I'm just relaying how they're explaining it to me. So knowing that we're electronically, or we've got this system in us. Basically, as we all know, we have to feed these biological machines with energy. Ultimately, that's what it is. It's not we need food. That's kind of what we're taught. It's like we're taught the mainstream way of thinking is you need your proteins, your carbohydrates, and all that stuff. That's almost inconsequential. What we need to survive is pure energy, and that's why, for instance, when we're not here in the 3D world, we don't need to eat food because all food is it has energy particles in it. So if you can get beyond that, which guess what, in upper levels, let me call this, or grades, higher dimensions, you don't need food anymore. You just need the energy essence of something. So, in other words, you can, and quite honestly, cut to the chase, is light. Light contains all energy. So you could live off light. Light is pure energy. And what they were saying to me is humans, like I was even telling you guys before, are linked to Earth, as in we have the same polarity. Let me put it that way. We're all positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. That type of thing to keep our sort of engines going. There's so much to cover, but I'm really trying to simplify everything as much as possible. Let's see. Yeah, and that's why, for instance, when they talk about being grounded, or we talk about being grounded, yeah, if you can put your feet into the earth, it makes you sync up to the earth pulse, which is ultimately what we're supposed to be linked to. So kind of what they've been telling me is we're going into an age of, and more of it like kind of enlightenment. But what I mean by enlightenment is more like we're realizing we have to go back to pre-lies. Like, in other words, we're all going to be starting to wake up to the fact that, for instance, the ancient shamans were correct. But also the cool and more fun, exciting part about it is the Tesla stuff is correct too. And so we're going to be heading into an age of basically combining high tech and super low tech. Now, what I mean by that is, it's that same thing. It's like if inside your mind, if you can use your biological brain computer to figure things out. That's the better way to do it. But for those of us that need help, you have to actually have a calculator, electric calculator, to help you get along with life. So you got to think of tech as basically a support system. We're supposed to be able to, in a sense, that's kind of why we even came here to this dimension, is to figure this out and to get good at it. But basically, biologically, physically, learn how to do all these fantastic things through our energies. It's like, let me put it this way, it's almost like we all have the potential to become magicians. We can heal things, we can levitate things. That's kind of the direction we're heading. Or you can use tech, like I said, and that's kind of like, because once we start changing this earth the way it should have been, or basically getting it back on track, that's basically what we're doing. But in order to get it back on track, we have to take it off the tracks that we were put on, which was by our controllers, which is, I'll just say, it's like dark entities. And speaking of that, what they were trying to tell me was, and this is kind of hard for us to wrap our heads around, but our controllers, I'll just even say kind of reptilians, I'll use that as an example, bad reptilians, their system, their biological system is different from ours in the way that they are reverse polarity. They are negative. So literally, like for instance, how our heartbeats are positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. As silly as this sounds, this is kind of what they're explaining to me. They're negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. So literally, they're like almost opposite of us. And they know that, so that's why they have been trying to change our systems, and that's why it creates disease, basically. All diseases are based on this. And there's scientists that have figured this out, is they're trying, in other words, the only way to reverse our polarity, if you look at a battery, is like you have to connect it wrong. And then once the circuit goes the opposite way, what we noticed, and well, I mean, you even notice having a battery, is that battery kind of loses its life quicker than it would normally. And it's also, you can't charge it the same way because it's reverse polarity. That's kind of what they do. So they have been harvesting us, farming us for our energy, and they change it into a reverse polarity for them. So, and because we all know, like even us being biological entities on Earth, we can't create energy out of nowhere. I mean, it's here all over the place, but we have to harvest it. So for instance, human beings, I'm going to also cut to the chase on this one. We weren't meant to be carnivorous. That's a trait that we've been kind of taught. We're meant to be eating from the earth, which is, I'll use a simple example from now, is carrots. We're supposed to be eating carrots and vegetables and whatever. So yes, we were originally intended or made to be vegetarians. And if you kind of noticed, we have all our teeth are not designed for eating meat. So subsequently, we have to cook it. And that's another subject they told me about, is when you cook food, you're basically losing the energy. It's all about energy. So anyway, it's kind of, I can't go on too much about that. There's so many other things to cover here. So yeah, there's a couple things. I'm gonna have to do part two on this one, I think, because there's just so much information. And also, yeah, they told me that because Earth is connected to us, and that's why you pick up from human beings like someone's got a positive nature. That means their battery is working correctly. So we seem to be attracted to that. And if someone's negative, it's like, it's not as if they don't have a battery. They have a battery, but it's reverse polarity. It's running different from you. And it's like they become energy vampires. That's why they feel like they're sucking energy from you because inadvertently you don't see it because it's invisible. Light is kind of not in our visible range. We just see its effects. But I'm just saying, yeah, they're sucking energy from you. That's kind of a very strange thing to understand. So let's see. Yeah, I mean that's why, for instance, eating food. I see. We're also taught, and this isn't all about just nutrition. There's way more than that. But touching back on the food concept is, uh, we we are a society that eats food for taste. That's that's it. We don't think of its nutritional value, or we're taught very little. There's a lot of people that know a lot about this. A lot of people out there that have been trying to tell us since 60s and 70s. I was like, we should be more vegetarian, which is true. Um, but instead, no, we're taught about food that tastes good. So it has its consequences. So it makes a whole population of very unhealthy people. And we have to really be careful of that. We're going to be getting back to this, so it's not when I say when we transition into it's kind of going to be a new world, but when we transition into more of the way we should have always been doing this, it's not going to be overnight. So we're going to be given lots of chance to, for example, you can quit smoking. There's no rush. You can do it over a period of a couple of years, whatever. It's not like we're going to put a stop to all this and then change our ways overnight. No, it's going to be a very slow transition. Well, basically, let me put it this way: as slow as we want it to be. So when we roll out these new med beds, Tesla technology, shamanism, like we're going back to the way it's supposed to be. We're going to integrate all that stuff, and it's going to be not so, um, so shocking to our systems because it's like we need the methadone to get us off heroin, that type of thing. So we need to transition, which we will. So as this information rolls out, don't worry about it too much because it's not as if we have to change our ways overnight. We're going to be able to do a slower transition. So, okay, I'm going to end this for part 1 because I got a lot more stuff to talk about. Then I'll do a part 2. Okay, talk to you guys later.